We've already noted that Jesus didn't claim only to be a spiritual teacher, but to be God and the only way to God. If we follow the logic here for a while, this claim forces us to some hard questions because just as the different ideas in the various religions can't all be true, different ideas people have about who Jesus was can't be either. The scholar C.S. Lewis, the author of The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe and the Chronicles of Narnia, he put it this way. He says Jesus was either a lunatic or a liar, or he was who he claimed to be, which is Lord. So firstly, could Jesus have been a liar? Might he have intentionally deceived everyone, stating something that he knew wasn't true? Very few have ever suggested it. You see, Jesus was clearly convinced of what he said. And to suggest that he was deceiving while giving the most amazing and selfless moral teachings ever uttered, which he also lived out in his example of selfless love, just makes no sense. The historian Philip Schaff, he put it this way: how in the name of logic, common sense and experience could an impostor have invented and consistently maintained from beginning to end the noblest and purest character known in history with the most perfect air of truth and reality? And if Jesus was lying, why did he die for it? The next option is that he might have been a lunatic. And madness is exactly what the Jewish leaders of Jesus' day accused him of, or of being demon-possessed. But they had their own reasons and motives for criticizing him. This question of Jesus' insanity was put in an interview to Gary Collins, a noted clinical psychologist and psychology professor. In response, Collins gave this really insightful observation. He said, Jesus was loving, but he didn't let compassion immobilize him. He didn't have a bloated ego, even though he was often surrounded by adoring crowds. Jesus maintained balance despite a demanding lifestyle. He always knew what he was doing and where he was going. He cared deeply for people, including women and children who weren't seen as being important back then. He was able to accept people while not ignoring their sin. He responded to individuals based on where they were at and what they uniquely needed. All in all, I just don't see signs that Jesus was suffering from any known mental illness. In fact, he was much healthier than anyone I know, including me. But if Jesus wasn't a liar or a lunatic, the only other option is that he was who he claimed to be, which is Lord. Now, if we think this one through, if there is a God, miracles are possible. In fact, if there's even just a spiritual realm, miracles are possible. So there's no logical reason why God couldn't come to earth as a human if he wanted to. The question is if he did. To put that differently, do you think that God might be anywhere near loving and humble enough to do what it's claimed Jesus did? Surrendering divine power, living as a human amongst us like our equal to communicate and to die for us. And if we think God might be that humble and loving to do that, the question to ask is whether the historical story and accounts of Jesus' life fit that picture or not. To conclude here, I want to quote you what C.S. Lewis said about these three different options. To quote, "I'm trying here to prevent anyone saying the really foolish thing that people often say about Jesus. I'm ready to accept Jesus as a great moral teacher, but I don't accept his claim to be God. That is the one thing we must not say. A man who was merely a man and said the sort of things Jesus said would not be a great moral teacher. He would either be a lunatic on a level with a man who says he's a poached egg, or else he would be the devil of hell. You must make a choice. Either this man was and is the Son of God, or else a madman, or something worse. You can shut him up for a fool, you can spit at him and kill him as a demon, or you can fall at his feet and call him Lord and God. But let us not come up with any patronizing nonsense about him being a great human teacher. He has not left that open to us. He did not intend to."